If you're a first-time homebuyer and you're looking in the Denver metro area and wondering where you can buy as a first-time homebuyer, then this video is for you because we're going to cover everything around the Denver metro area and where you can be as a first-time homebuyer. Because let's face it, in Denver, your budget is going to dictate where you can live. So what price ranges are we talking about when we're talking about first-time homebuyers in the Denver metro area? Well, we can see in the entire Denver metro MLS, as of right now, the median home price is about $575. Now, this includes condos and single families, but I really wouldn't say that most first-time home buyers are shopping north of that 500 mark. So it's either you're literally a first-time home buyer or you're kind of looking in that sub 500 market around the Denver area. And there's not a ton, but that's the same nationwide in every city right now. Inventory is just drastically down because, well, interest rates are awfully high and we have a ton of buyers and sellers that actually feel stuck in their current situation. I have several downsizing buyers right now that could sell at 500. They can buy what they want at 500, but they're in at 2.5% to 3% interest rates, and the house they want to buy, they're going to be a 7% interest rate. And so their mortgage payment is literally going to double, even with extra equity that they put down. So we have a lot of people that are stuck, which is adding to the issue of inventory out there. But let's take a peek around the Denver metro area and see what you can buy as a first-time home buyer. So I'm just in the Denver metro MLS, and I'll actually have a link below. If you are a first-time buyer, you can have a link to all of our Denver preferred properties, which is going to include the entire metro area, because in Denver proper, there's not going to be a whole lot. So we're going to be looking at more suburbs, Westminster, down in Centennial, Lakewood, over east to Aurora, because that's where it does get a little bit more affordable. So starting off with everything that's currently active right now, we're just going to start off with single family, and we're going to start at 500,000 and below. And when we pull up a map here, and I'm going to draw a circle just around the metro area. So we can see that this is our map, and it actually looks like there's quite a few properties, which is nice. Now, how many is it actually? We go back to the previous screen here, and we're looking at 400 properties. So how many is that in comparison to what's normally on the market? Well, in the entire Denver metro MLS, there's typically about 4,000 to 6,000 properties. So we're looking at under 10% of all properties on the MLS are sub 500,000. So not very many. Now, when we zoom into this map, we're going to see several pockets, right? Let's start on the south end of town. We're going to have some pockets here in Englewood, and what type of house Englewood is going to have is going to be a little bit on the smaller side. They're going to be under 2,000 square feet, typically 2, maybe 3 bedrooms, 1, maybe 2 baths. And so let's take a look at one here on Galapagos. So they're listed at 430,000. Now they've been on since November, so there might actually be an opportunity to compete, offering lower than asking price. They've already done one price drop, but a lot of these houses are going to be, on the small side. This one's 750 square feet. Now on the inside, it actually looks fairly well updated, but the buyer pool for a 750 square foot house north of 400,000 in this part of town obviously isn't very big because they've been on the market for quite a while now. And then going even further south, let's take a look at the furthest south one here. This one actually comes up in Littleton, and this, I think, should actually be classified as a townhouse. This is attached here, but on the inside, it's not too bad looking. It looks like it's been recently updated. Size of that, 1,458 square feet with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, right? So that's in the south part of town. Now, we really don't have many. So if you were looking to be south of, let's say, Hamden, you've only got about 10 to 12 options, right? But love all these parts of town. You're really close to Littleton, one of my favorite suburbs. You're not too far off from I-25 or the tech center. You're closer to the mountains than most of Aurora is. And so I really like this southwest part of town. I see a lot of opportunity with it as this city is growing. Then we can go north a little bit and we get kind of into that Federal and Alameda-ish area, some stuff in Harvey Park. We got some funky properties here just west of Santa Fe. You've got some really interesting stuff that's going to be on more land, but once again, 874 square feet. And we look at this and it kind of looks like a haunted house from the first picture, and there's no other pictures. So not very enticing. They started at 450, they're down to 395. So they shot and they missed. And this isn't meant to dog at any other agents on the market. We don't set prices as agents. We just go by what our clients want to do. And if it's within reason, we can choose to work with them or not. And then we've got some more stuff. Harvey Park, great neighborhood. We've got this one over on Lindley, $450. They just went on the market, 1,200 square feet, and not listed as to how many bedrooms and baths. So a little interesting, but once again, one picture. And then we've got some stuff in Ruby Hill, which has a great park over there. If you've never been sledding, or if you don't live here and you need to go sledding somewhere, want to go sledding, Ruby Hill Sled Hill is phenomenal. I think they have a bike park over there and probably a skate park too. Ruby Hill's a cool little neighborhood, especially with that park. And we look at this one and it looks updated. Small kitchen, right? But this is going to be the theme of everything we're looking at, sub 500. Not too many pictures, but it's got a yard. It's your typical single family, 742 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. And then let's just continue heading north. And we've got this chunk off of I-70. So this is where Arvada and you have Berkeley neighborhoods. It starts to turn into a little bit more suburby feel as you go west towards Lakewood. And you've got some stuff. Stuff is going to be a little bit on the bigger side, so 1,000 square feet, but hey, that's 25% bigger than what we were just looking at. And you've got something like this on Carr Street at $495. They just went on the market the other day. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. Once again, does have a garage. You do have some land around you, but we're talking, 8 to 10,000 square foot lots. We're not talking acreage. And on the inside, it's just kind of your average everyday house. A little bit dated in the kitchen for sure, so some work could be done there, but it looks like it was well kept, well maintained. And then as we head north, you're going to have this pocket closer to Westminster, and you can go further west up from there and head towards Boulder, Flatirons Mall shopping area, Broomfield Tech Center up there. So if you work at the Tech Center, this is a really popular place to live, as well as by Westminster here, which is going to be really close to 36. So you're close to highways. Access is really easy to the northern part of the town. And so for 500, we've got this one, 1,400 square feet, so a little bit more home for your dollar, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. So now we're getting into a feeling of like, hey, this can actually work for us, right? And we've actually got some real pictures. Looks like they've updated it beautifully. The paint color on the outside, actually, I really like. It looks like an obsidian color that we've used on several of our projects. Hardwoods throughout. Looks like it's a little bit of an open concept to the kitchen area, and just an everyday, decent looking house. Like, that's an updated kitchen with quartz countertops. Like, at $500,000 around the Denver area, it's probably about as good as you get. Multiple bathrooms throughout it. Looks like we have a wet bar off of the kitchen, kind of an interesting touch to it. It's a real house at $500,000. And then we're going to have an entire big chunk here. Thornton, North Glen are gonna all feel the same, right? These are mostly houses built in the 70s and 80s. This was definitely more of a suburb after the original Denver was built out. They're still good houses, and you can still get a decent deal up here. At $385, we've got this one, and this one was just listed the other day as well. 1,382 square feet. Now it's listed as 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, but at that square footage, I definitely know there's opportunity to add another bedroom. It's a brick ranch. It's got a detached garage. Kind of looks like grandma's house here with the wood paneling, which I kind of dig. Newer windows throughout. Kitchen doesn't look bad. Like, this is just an average everyday house that has the opportunity for equity growth, right? And this one's at $385, so that's not too horrible. Now, what would your payment be on something that's $285,000? Well, let's take a look here at our mortgage calculator. So let's say purchase price of $385. Let's say you were just putting down 5%, which is the norm for a conventional loan. You don't have to have 20% down. 30-year fixed interest rate at 7%. And then let's put in property taxes. We're not high at all, so 0.5% is usually what I put in. So homeowners insurance, we'll say $2,400 a year. And we calculate that out, and we can see it's a monthly payment of $2,800 a month. And that's typically what you're going to find in the northern part of town. Thornton, North Glen, Westminster is going to feel pretty similar. And then on the eastern part, we're going to have another couple of pockets here, right? We're going to have East Colfax from eastern part of Denver getting into Aurora. And this is the part of town that everybody says is so bad and all that. You know what, guys? I'm from Chicago originally. I know what a real ghetto looks like. Denver doesn't have any ghettos, okay? There is not a single part of Denver that I would not drive through at 2 a.m., okay? Let that sink in for a second. Not a single part of Denver, which has over 3 million people, has a part that I would feel really unsafe at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? Now, what you're going to find here in the East Colfax part is going to be smaller brick homes built in the 20s and 30s typically, and they're going to be on the small side. So we've got this one at $285,000. That's pretty affordable for Denver. 1,200 square feet, so 800 above grade, a 300-foot basement, but that's not finished. So the total square footage finished is 836, okay? And then we look through it, not too bad, not a whole lot of curb appeal, which is what you're going to find, but the inside looks fairly updated. I mean, that's a nice looking kitchen. That's a nicer kitchen than what I have. And, it might be low ceiling, so there might be some funkiness to some of these properties, is what you're going to see. There's a lot of rentals in this part of town, but that's just the reality. The more inexpensive parts of town have a lot more rentals in them. This one, $350, looks like a fixer-upper potentially, only 6 pictures. It's a little on the rough side for $350, but you are close to the city. Once again, some opportunity. The most inexpensive parts of town that are closest to the city are going to appreciate the most in value, period. That's what happens in every single city as the city focuses on downtown, on improving, on putting our tax dollars to work there. It spreads out slowly. Like right now, they're putting a ton of work into the Swansea, Globeville area where the National Western Stock Show is, right? That's been quite a rough neighborhood for quite a few decades now, but they are putting millions and millions of dollars into it. Tons of hotels are going up, and it is really shifting. Now we can go further southeast into the extension of Aurora, right? Most of these homes are going to be built in the 80s and 90s. This is where it feels like truly more of a suburban sprawl, okay? These are going to be houses that are bigger. They're going to be newer. A lot of them are going to be in HOA communities, okay? And let's just pick one here at $487 over on Bethany. They've had a price drop. They started above $500. They went a little bit below. 1,400 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and here you go. This is going to be most of the homes that you see in this entire chunk of the neighborhood. Fairly well updated. Not all of them are going to be updated, of course, but they're going to be on the newer side, more suburban feeling. But that's a nice home for $487,000. Been on the market for a little bit, so there's an opportunity to negotiate. We can go a little bit further south. Let's take a look at this one for $460. Your typical 2-story, 1,400 square foot, decently updated throughout. Like, these are not bad homes. They're just a little bit further out from the city center. So the further out you get, the cheaper you get, right? And then we can really head further out from the city. Now, Brighton, this is definitely an up-and-comer, folks. Pay attention to what's going on in Brighton. I've helped several clients over the last couple of years that bought here many years ago for $200,000. I say many, I mean 5 years ago, right? But the market has done so much in the last few years that it feels like it was such a long time ago. They bought in the 200s and now they're selling in the 400s. It's been one of the highest appreciating parts of the Denver area. And it's really not considered Denver, right? Because you have this big stretch here where there's not much until you get to Denver proper. But what I will say is from Brighton to downtown Denver, 25 minute drive. So if you're coming from a big city, like this isn't very far at all. It's going to feel like more of middle America than it is Denver Metro. So now here on the northern part at 457, we've got this, which seems like it's on quite a bit of land, which is more of what you're going to find in Brighton. You're going to start finding acreage. And on the inside, it looks fairly well updated. It's a nice kitchen, new flooring throughout, new paint, and all this for 457. So you can get quite a bit more house if you're willing to go a bit further out. At 500,000, we've got this 2,300 square feet. I mean, that serves 90% of families in the United States for all of their needs, right? This is built in 2007. So all the majors are going to be within, 20 years old. So it's not going to be horrible. They've probably been updated once, and the siding's in great shape. The inside of the home is what we expect for today's standards. Kitchen looks good. like this is a great home at 2,300 square feet, and we've got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and I know in that square footage there's room to add. So they finished off 1,600 square feet, so you have an entire unfinished basement that you can make multiple more bedrooms into, another bathroom, all for being south of that 500,000 mark. And then on the outskirts, in some places, you do have newer home communities, like this one further east. This does come up in Watkins, but really it's kind of eastern Aurora. Once again, drive to the city downtown area. It's going to be 20 to 30 minutes tops, even with traffic. And we're going to have new home communities. And no, you are not going to have mountain views in the background like that. This is from a new build, and so it's an artificial image. But for $475, almost 1,800 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, like these are going to be nice new build communities. Now that's in single family land, so you do have some options around town, not a ton, but you do. Now on condos, I'm going to lower the price even more because we're usually going to have HOAs, which are going to add to how much you can afford. So if you could afford up to $500,000 on a single family with maybe a $200 a month HOA payment, which would be low on a condo, FYI, your purchasing power might be $400,000, okay? So we're actually going to look on the lower end. We're going to go $350,000 south, and we're going to look at condos, okay? And so we're going to see in that same map area, we've got 296 matches, okay? And where that looks like on this map is a much more condensed footprint, right? Now, the upside is that you have a lot of stuff that's close to downtown Denver. These diagonal streets here, if you don't know, that's downtown Denver. And so you're going to have all these options in Cap Hill, Congress Park, Spear, Alamo Placida. Like these are really cool, hip neighborhoods. If you're big into nightlife, going out to bars, restaurants, being out past midnight, like this is your jam, right? This is where a lot of the younger people live that are under the age of 35, 30, right? And we can see, 255,000. We've got a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 500 square foot condo in Congress Park. And they're going to be decent looking units. And so if you're young and single still, and you don't need a ton of space, and proximity is important to you, you don't want a car, right? You don't want to have to drive around. These are where you're going to be shopping. And there's a lot of really cool old historic buildings like this one where you can get a rad apartment. Look at that. Look at this kind of entry foyerway. This looks like an old mansion that was converted, which is going to be common to what you see. Shaker cabinets, concrete countertops, brick wall exposure. This is going to be the fun stuff to look at. This one's 1 bedroom, 1 bath as well, 636 square feet. And then you're going to have a smattering over in the western part of town. There's not a ton of condos outside of the Denver main metro area, okay? There just isn't. That's not how this city was built out. You're going to have some things over in Westminster, and these are going to be more your typical feeling, multi-family sort of houses. But for up to $350,000, you can actually get something that's updated with a couple of bedrooms. This is 1,500 square feet, 4 bedrooms, and 3 bathrooms. That's a fair amount of house for $350,000. What's the HOA payment on this? It is $433 a month. So if you want to know how much that's going to shake out to be, let's come in here and look at a $350,000 condo with 5% down, 30-year fixed rate at 7% interest. Property taxes are going to be even lower. And then homeowners insurance is going to be even lower. So for something like this, you might be at $1,800 a year. Now we got to calculate in our condo and HOA fees. And this is what might hurt this one. So $2,800 a month. But for a 4-bedroom place, you're not going to have too many options to be closer to the city within that price range. You're going to have to go much further down into Southeast Aurora or further north into Brighton to get the same amount of bedroom space as you can get in a condo in, let's say, Westminster, okay? Then on the eastern side of town, you've got this pocket, which is still in Denver proper. And then when you've got stuff that's closer to DTC, which is attractive, if you work in the tech center like a lot of people do, and you can actually get something for an affordable price. This is $215,000 with what looks like an updated kitchen, nice flooring throughout, looks like they did a paint job, made it look decent, 763 square feet, a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. And again, I'll have a link in the description below of all these properties that you can check out on your own whenever you'd like. And you're going to want to watch this video next if you've just moved to Denver or you're thinking about moving to Denver, about the top 6 neighborhoods around the Denver metro area.